Had one of the 2240 Tektronix scopes I've got in my workshop. It's been in the workshop probably well over winter, and it's obviously got quite cold. This is the first 2240 I picked up from a chap in Hampshire somewhere a couple of years ago. It's had a few sort of issues. When I first got it, he demonstrated working, and when I got it back, it had all corruption on its EPROMs and things. I had to reprogram it all again. I don't think I did a full recal on it, but it certainly wasn't working correctly. Powered up again this morning, and it's just basically lost all its parameters. So the first thing you think is, well, maybe it's the battery's weak. Now it still has actually got the original battery in, but I've just been looking at the voltage on the battery. Here's the battery here. Just zoom in a bit so you can see a bit clearer. This is the battery voltage point here. Now it says 3.5 volts nominal or normal. Now that's what I'm actually getting on the battery at the moment. And I'm also getting the other side of this diode. It says 2 to 5 volts always. So basically it's 5 volts when this regulator's working. This little regulator circuit here, and 2 volts when you've got the voltage drop back through that diode. The voltage drop across that diode, which is about 1.4 volts on a silicon diode. So the voltage there seems to be fine, but what's happening is if I do a clean a cold start, as it's called on the unit, it basically, what it does is it resets all the EPROMs to or the memory, or the RAM should I say, to a default setting. And then you perform a self-calibration after a 10-minute warm-up period. Now that's not working. Now I'm not sure why. When I did it the first time, I got the calibration to run, and it starts going through and clicking all its relays, and it says passed. So you follow the instruction to perform an external calibration, adjust the attenuators, which is what I've done. Moved on to the rise and fall times, and when I do that, it says do CTE cal first. I think it's the CTE cal. One of the other calibration points first, which I've never seen that before on one of these scopes. At that point, it just seems to sit there and hang. Now, the only way I can get out of it, I've pressed all the buttons, is to turn the power off. When I turn the power off, it looks like, and I'm not sure, it's performing another reset on the settings it's already saved. It passed the self-calibration test, but when I reboot it after that, it's back to square one. So it's sort of stuck in a bit of a loop at the moment. Now, I mean, I let it run this external calibration for, sat there on that CTE cal for about 1 or 2 minutes, and just nothing happened. Maybe I'm being impatient, but I'm looking at the sort of like the reset command here. This is the obviously the output of the so here's the battery, and the battery supply voltage is fed through that diode down here and out to the supply of this chip and all the other chips it's running, but it's basically this U664 by the looks of it. Now what's happening is when it gets a reset command from the processor, it looks like it's turning this transistor on, and it's pulling that point low, so it's basically turning off the supply to that system RAM chip. Now I'm starting to wonder if there's a problem with the system RAM chip. I might have a spare one. Unfortunately, I have got a spare board backup, but it's a slightly different model. It uses different. It's a later model. This is the scope I'm looking at the moment is about 86, 87, and the board I've got is a 91 scope, which is one of the latter ones, and also I think uses a different battery backup system. It doesn't have this permanent battery. It has one of those real-time clocks, Dallas real-time clock. So at the moment, I'm spending this afternoon trying to work out if there's a problem here. I mean, the voltages, as I say, look fine here. I don't know if there's a demand or something. When it's the processor's busy, it takes a gob of current out of here and it collapses this battery. I need to see if this battery is capable of supplying any current at all. It's I think it's a 1.6 amp hour battery. So I might stick a sort of like a light load across it. I don't know, 3.6 volts. It's better as like a, I don't know, 50 ohm resistor across it, and see if the battery holds up. It could be something simple as that, as the voltage is actually collapsing, corrupting the RAM, and the RAM sort of does a cyclic reset sort of thing. I don't know. It could be the RAM's had it. These are fickle. These scopes. You look on the internet. There's loads of problems with these sort of things. The other thing it's doing now is it's saying the CCDs are failing calibration. Well, that's I don't think that's right. I think basically it's saying that is because it's getting that far and trying to calibrate the CCDs, but it hasn't got all the parameters set correctly. So at the moment, all I'm looking at is I'm going to try and fix this, clear this fault here, and then we'll go back into the workshop and try and work out what the hell's going on.